turn the recording on, and she just did that. On my screen, at least in the upper left-hand corner, is the word recording and a red dot. Some screens are different, but you should be able to see some indication that the recording is on, so you'll know that this is a recorded meeting. And we will be posting the recordings to our project website throughout for all 4 of these workshops and throughout the process, so they'll be available for you to take a look at. With that, the first thing we're going to do as really part of our meeting is that we have a survey, a little poll with 3 questions to ask you to fill out. And Lindsay has just put it up on the screen. And if you read here, you'll see that there are 3 questions. And as participants, there are 18 of you who are participants in the meeting, and you can go ahead and fill this out and let us know what best describes you as a participant, your favorite thing about Hollister, and if you need any assistance with Zoom. So go ahead and click the buttons for that. I see the first person has now done that. Okay, we have 12 of 19, 13 of 19 so far. That's about 2/3. Let's see if a couple more people can fill in the survey. If you're having any trouble with the survey, you can send us a message in the chat or even unmute yourself and ask. We're at 16 out of 19, 3 more to go. 17, nice. We just had a 20th person join us. The person who, if you just joined, you should see a poll in front of on your screen as you've come in, and everybody's just answering these 3 questions to give us a quick sense of who's here. And we'll probably go ahead and close the poll in another 10 seconds or so. So if you'd like to, if you're one of those last 3 people who hasn't filled it out yet, if you'd like to do that now, that would be great. Okay, let's go ahead and close the poll and just look at the results here. 13 out of 18 of you who did fill out the poll are residents of Hollister. It's great to have you here. We also have 2 business owners and 8 representatives from community organizations. So it's a very diverse group, and it's great to have so much representation around. Then we asked you what's your favorite thing about Hollister, and the thing that most people, that the largest number of people talked about is the small town character. But we also had 4 people talking about neighborhoods. So out of the 18 people who did the poll, 10 of you said either the small town character or the neighborhoods. And then as you can see here, we also have 1 person who said they like that it's easy to get around, 1 person who likes the parks, 1 the schools, local events, 2 like the downtown, and 1 said an other item. So there's a diversity of things that you all like about the city, and we're going to be working tonight to be able to really make sure we take advantage of all of those things and solidify them as part of our vision for the future of Hollister. We did also have 1 person who's looking for a little help on Zoom. What I would suggest perhaps is if you can identify yourself in some way, we can have Torina, who's got Zoom questions as her name. She could either give you a call on the phone or work with you through the chat function to help you with Zoom. Is that something, is there a way you can send a chat message or just say your name and Torina could try and get a hold of you? Okay, I'm not hearing the person. Torina, are you getting a text message or anything? No. I think we'll just go on. If you are having problems, please do either send a text message to the Zoom questions person or wave your hand or on your screen, or if you need to, send us an email, something, and we will try and help you out. I'm looking on the screens and I'm not seeing anyone who's identifying themselves. All right, let me introduce quickly all the people who are here tonight on the city side. I introduced myself at the beginning. I'm David Early, and I am a principal at PlaceWorks, and PlaceWorks is the city planning consulting firm that's been hired by the city of Hollister to help to write the general plan. We have several staff from our office here this evening. Our project manager is Carrie Stone, who's identified as Project Questions and is waving tonight. Lindsay Klein is here as the host of the meeting. Tarina Wilson is here answering Zoom questions and to help to facilitate, and Ricardo Pozos is here also as a planner and facilitator and offering interpretation. And then from the city of Hollister, we have Brian Swanson, who's the community development director, Abraham Prado, the planning manager, and Eva Kelly, Amber Cameron, and Ariel Pirelli and Maria are all here as well as city staff members providing support also. So it's great, of course, to have such a large group of consultants and staff members here, and it's also great to have all of you here as participants in the meeting as well. Oh, and I should mention also Frederick Venter, who is our team's transportation engineer, is here as well. So he's listening in tonight and is working in particular on the transportation portions of this project. With that, I'm gonna, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm gonna go and share my screen and move us into an agenda overview and the presentation for the meeting. Let me just see here. There we go. So I am just going to give you an overview of tonight's meeting. We've had welcome and introductions now, and I'm going to now go into our presentation, and I'll be taking about 15 minutes to give you an overview of the general plan and an overview of the general plan process, update process, and then talk a little bit about the vision statement that we're going to be working on tonight. We'll have some time for questions from all of you, questions and answers, and then the bulk of the meeting will be breaking into some small groups. I believe we're going to do 4 groups tonight. You'll be in small groups and able to discuss your vision for Hollister, and then at the end of the meeting we'll have reports back from each of the groups. There will be a note taker in each group also, so we'll have a good sense, a good record of all the things that happen in all the groups tonight. And I would like to ask you as I go through the presentation, if you have questions, you can either enter them in the chat and send them to Project Questions where Carrie will get them, or you can note them down on your own paper at home and ask them at the end, but rather do that than interrupt the presentation. That way we can get through it a little more quickly. So let me start by just mentioning what the general plan is. The general plan is a document required by state law, and every city and every county in the state has its own general plan. The general plan is what we call the blueprint for growth and development in a city or county. The courts have also referred to it as the Constitution for conservation, growth, and development. And just like the Constitution of the United States, it doesn't have every rule in it, but it's the foundational set of rules that give guidance about how the community wants to grow and develop, to change, and to conserve its resources. So it establishes a community vision, and it establishes goals and policies and actions for the general plan. It's intended to provide a consistent direction for future development, and it balances growth with conservation and quality of life. It's also a place where we document baseline environmental conditions so that we understand how growth and change might affect our physical environment as well. The general plan is required by law to have what are called elements. You can think of those as chapters. They're not called chapters because they can actually be organized in the general plan in any way that the city sees fit. But there are these 7 subjects that have to be covered in the elements. And Hollister has a general plan today, of course, that was adopted in 2005. It's quite a good document, quite a robust document, and it does have all of those required elements. And you see them listed over here on the left side of the screen. There's a land use element that also covers community design. There's a circulation element that addresses transportation, a housing element, a natural resources and conservation element, an open space and agricultural element, and then 2 of the required elements are combined in one, covering health and safety along with noise, which is also a required element. State law also allows every jurisdiction to add their own elements if they want to, and the City of Hollister in its 2005 general plan did adopt a community services and facilities element as well, which we will be updating. And as part of this new update, we're going to be adding 2 or 3 elements. We've been asked for sure to add an arts element and an economic development element. And we're also required under new state law from 2018 to consider the need for an environmental justice element as well. So we'll be looking at that also. That's to cover subjects that have to do with any disproportionate impacts of environmental issues or planning issues that would burden less enfranchised communities, particularly communities of color and poor communities. So we'll be looking at that as a part of this general plan update also. The general plan update that we're embarked in has a series of goals, and they're listed here. The first and probably most important of them is to involve a broad spectrum of the community. And we are doing that through a whole host of methods that I'll be talking about in a few minutes. And it's also to establish a vision for the City of Hollister. I mentioned that the general plan is a great document. It's interesting that it doesn't actually yet today lay out a succinct vision for what the city wants to become. You can sort of read it between the lines of the goals and policies, but there's not a succinct vision statement, and we're going to be working to create one in this process. But we think we do know that the town does already share a vision and a set of goals to do the things that are also listed on this slide. Firstly, to maintain the city's small town agricultural character, to manage growth, particularly residential growth, in ways that are consistent with overall community goals, ensuring high quality development, supporting economic development and particularly job growth so that people can work locally as well as living locally. And of course, we need to respond to state mandates and changes in the law that have occurred since 2005 and that require some additional changes to the general plan as well. The project has a series of components that all work together. We are focusing, of course, on the general plan update, which is the first item on this list. But at the same time, we're working on some other items also. We're working to implement a new state law called Senate Bill 743 that changes the way that we assess traffic impacts. And that's a thing that Frederick, who's here tonight, is working on with us. We're also preparing a climate action plan to respond to climate change as required by state law. We're preparing a hazard mitigation plan that responds to hazards such as earthquakes and flooding. And we're preparing an environmental impact report that covers the environmental consequences of development under the general plan. And then finally, we'll be preparing or updating the city's municipal services review, which is a document that's required by what's called the Local Agency Formation Commission at the county level, and which is necessary when the city wants to annex new lands into the city. So we'll be updating that as well. So you can see a whole host of items that all fit together with the general plan update at the forefront, but a whole host of items that we're doing together. And we're doing this for a geographic area that encompasses the city, but is even larger than the city itself. So you can see on this map 4 different boundaries around the city of Hollister. There is a black line, which is the innermost line that I'm pointing to now, which is the actual city limit. And that's the area inside the city that's subject to city laws and regulations. But there are other areas. There's a slightly larger area called the sphere of influence. That's the area that's identified by the Local Agency Formation Commission as well as the city as the area that the city might annex relatively soon. That area might be increased through this planning process. The city also has an urban service area, which is the area in which the city can provide sewer and water service, even though parts of it may be outside the city limit. And then for this project, we've also identified an even larger planning area, the purple line, and that's an area that may never be annexed. It may never get urban services, but we believe that anything that happens in it is of consequence to the city. So we want to be considering this larger purple area, even if development won't necessarily occur in this area, even if it will never be annexed, we want to be considering it as part of the general plan update. And that's why that area has been identified as well. So our planning area is everything inside the purple line, even though city regulations today only apply within the city limit itself. I mentioned already that there are many opportunities for public involvement as part of this process. We have 6 different junctures at which workshops and events are happening. I mentioned that this is the 4th of 4 vision workshops that we're conducting at this time, and that's just one of those 6 times. After tonight's meeting, there will be 5 other sets of workshops and events that will happen either in person or virtually to address other parts of the planning process. We also have lots of online activities on our website. We have a general plan advisory committee, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, and we'll have a total of 10 meetings through the process. And we'll be meeting with your planning commission and your city council at 4 separate times as well. So there's quite a bit of opportunity for public involvement. We are also very committed to outreach to diverse groups. I mentioned already that this meeting was offered in Spanish as well as English. We are trying to identify and work with the diverse groups within Hollister, and particularly the Latino community, as much as possible. To do that, we're identifying community leaders, utilizing existing contacts from city departments and elected officials. We're translating all our written materials on our website and offering interpretation at our in-person meetings. And we're structuring meetings and workshops to accommodate a diversity of participants. So we're really making an extra effort to make sure that all sectors of Hollister's community can participate. We do have our website up and running already. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to take a look at it after tonight's meeting. It's at hollister2040.org. You see that written here, and you see the splash page on this screen, which shows ways to get involved. It shows upcoming workshops. It gives background about the general plan process. It gives a calendar of events. It gives a history of past meetings and documents that people might want to review. So it's got a lot of information on it. And among those things are some interactive exercises. You can see listed here in the middle of this slide a list of 4 online activities that are up and running today, a place where you can give comments about the vision that we're going to be working on tonight, an exercise to rank what you like best about Hollister and what's most important to you, a place where you can upload photos of things that you very much like or don't like so much in Hollister that you want us to know about, and a word cloud where you choose just one word to describe Hollister, and we put that back up as a cloud of words so that people can see all the different ideas that people have about what makes Hollister what it is today. And all of that is available in both English and Spanish. This is a schedule showing how we're moving along. You can see right now that the first 2 lines are both going on. We're in the process of assembling baseline information, and we'll be doing that all the way through October. At the same time, we're working on a vision statement, and we'll be doing that through September. Once those things are done, we're going to be focusing in on a series of policy issues and design issues that need to be considered. We'll be doing that in the fall and early winter of 2021. And we will be then writing the general plan itself based on the outcomes of those processes. We'll be writing the general plan and the other work products and the environmental impact report. And we believe that those will all be published in the fall of 2021. Once that's done, there will still be about a 6-month period that starts in the fall of 2021, goes into winter of 2022, when all of those documents will be formally reviewed and ultimately adopted by the City Council. So it is a long process, it's a very involved process, and there will be many opportunities throughout it for public engagement and for all of you to be involved. I did mention already that we have a General Plan Advisory Committee, or GPAC. It has 2 main functions. The first of these is to review and make recommendations to the Planning Commission and City Council about the work products that we're creating. The other, though, is to be project ambassadors for this project and to spread the word about the General Plan update, to encourage participation and to build community support for the General Plan. The GPAC is meeting 10 times over the course of this process. They've already had 1 meeting. They'll be holding another one in August and another in October. These are generally 2-hour meetings. We make the materials available in advance online so that people can review them. There are always opportunities for public comment, and you're welcome to attend or observe these GPAC meetings to get a sense of how the project is moving forward. The GPAC today consists of 3 members, Mayor Ignacio Velasquez, Councilmember Roland Resendez, and Planning Commissioner David Huboy. There are 2 additional slots on the GPAC, one for 1 more Planning Commissioner and 1 for an at-large member. Those have not been filled so far, but we hope that they'll be filled within the next few months. So with that, I'm going to stop here before I talk about the vision statement and open it up for questions that you may have. We've got about 5 to 10 minutes for questions and comments. Robin, I see your hand up. I know you've been at a couple of meetings in the past, so I want to utilize this opportunity as much as possible to hear from others who might have questions. But if no one else has a question, then we'll go to Robin. Robin is our most dedicated participant. You've been at least 3, if not 4 of these vision workshops, I think. So thank you for being here. Do others have questions that they would like to ask? Or Carrie, has any question come to you through the chat? No questions in the chat. Nancy, are you wanting to speak, Nancy Gerton, or is your hand? If you are, we can unmute you and go ahead and ask your question. Lindsay, can you unmute Nancy? There we go.
Sure. You did make a quick mention of the fact that there are still 2 positions open for the slots that need to be filled for the GPAC. And you're hoping that they will be filled soon. What does soon mean to you? And I'm concerned that it continues to move forward with especially a community person not being on it.
Well, what I meant to say is that I hope they'll be filled within the next few months. I don't know a timing exactly. It really is up to the City Council. The City Council has the purview to appoint the last 2 members, and it does require a majority vote of the City Council. As far as I understand it so far, there has not, the council unfortunately only has 4 members right now. I'm sure most of you are aware that one of the members passed away. It does require a three votes out of the 4, and as I understand it, the council has so far been unable to have a 3-1 or 4-0 vote in favor of any additional members. So I don't know what the timing will be, and it will be up to the council to make that decision.
Okay, I would just post my concern over not especially filling the community position for that, because I think that's really important.
Great, yeah, and I think you should definitely let the council know that too, because it's up to them. It's not something that staff or consultants can take care of. I do want to assure you that through meetings like this, for example, we are getting lots of input from lots of people such as yourself. And so I agree with you. It would be great to have those 2 slots filled. And at the same time, I can assure you that we're doing everything we can to get broad input from the community.
All right.
Mia Casey has her hand up. Mia, can we unmute Mia?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so 2 things. One is I did attend the first GPAC meeting, and we did discuss the idea of adding citizen representation, but the mayor and council member Resendez were absolutely unwilling to even try to go back and work with the rest of the city council, and they said wait till after the election. So we can't count on any citizen involvement till at least after November, possibly the end of the year. So that's one thing. And the other thing, I just had a question for you, David.
Yeah.
I see there's a lot of folks on tonight. What kind of response have you gotten? How many folks have participated so far?
I think we've probably had a total of roughly 50 people at the 3 previous meetings, and then we have about 20 to 25 more tonight. So I think, I don't have an exact count, Carrie or Lindsay may know a better number, but I think we'll be at about 75 total participants after tonight.
All right, thank you.
Jan Grist, it looks like, has a question. Can we unmute Jan?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm a trustee on the Hollister School Board. We are the largest employer and the elementary school district for the city of Hollister. So I would think that someone from the school district should be on this general plan. I'm not suggesting myself, but we should have someone who's a representative of the Hollister School District to be on the plan, and I would like that to be forwarded to the city council, because we are the largest employer and we educate 6,000 students of the city of Hollister.
Great. Well, we'll be sure to get that comment to the council. I would encourage you as the school district, if you'd like to, you can also, of course,
we will say something
directly to the council. And I should point out here at this point, and I'm sure, Jan, you as a school board member know this, but just so the others know, the school district is a completely separate entity from
Yes.
the city cannot control the school district or vice versa. So
Right,
some people
right.
have said, will the general plan cover educational policy? And the answer is no, it
No,
actually can't. It is the school district is totally separate, but I certainly understand your point that it would be great to have cooperation. And if the council wanted to appoint a school board member to the GPAC, that's certainly something they could do.
right.
John Casey has his hand up, and then Sean Novak. John.
Hi. I just want to. I'm very appreciative of the amount of city staff that's on the call. I was surprised when I came on, and I appreciate and applaud their participation. And that's kind of leads to my question is, because they have their finger on the pulse of the city in a lot of cases, how are city staff involved in this process, and what input will they have toward the goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me just say that I think I can speak for our whole team at PlaceWorks. We are really enjoying working with city staff. It's an incredibly dedicated and intelligent staff, as I think all of you probably know, from Brian down to Abraham and to Amber, Eva, and Areli, and the other more adjunct staff we've been working with. They are all extremely engaged, very, very committed, very dedicated to your city. I think you can all be very proud and very happy to have such a great staff working for you. And we are meeting with them weekly by phone. We go over all the projects, all the process that has underway, and they're guiding us at every step of the way. And every product we work on will be reviewed by city staff before it comes out to the public. So it's a very close working relationship between the consultant team and city staff. And again, I can't say too many nice things about your city staff and how great they are to work with.
Thank you.
Sean Novak.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Sean Novak. I'm with the Water Resources Association for the county. And I work with a lot of the people on the staff at the city. I just wanted to pile in on that, and they're excellent people, really on top of things. So I'm glad that they're really involved with this. But I just wanted to put out the word there. I mean, you know, without water, none of this happens. So I hope that the city council chooses somebody from the water board to sit on the panel on the advisory committee. And just want to put that 2 cents in.
Okay, thank you. And again, I mean, we will try and convey that to the council, but if you or the water board wants to write a memo or letter to the council about that directly, you'd be welcome to do that as well.
Will do, thank you.
Yeah, we've probably got another minute for questions. We might take one more if there are any. You will have lots of time for discussion and questions in your small groups. And Robin, unless there's somebody else, you'll get the final question. Let's unmute Robin if we can, or you can unmute yourself, I think.
I am unmuted.
There you go.
Thank you, David. I have my quick question regarding Park Hill, of course, is would it fall under the category of hazardous mitigation because of the hazards up there, the fuel tanks, the asbestos, all that stuff, or would it be environmental justice?
Well, the first issues that you just mentioned do fall under the hazard mitigation plan. So the hazard mitigation plan is a citywide document. It does need to identify all the hazards in the city, including asbestos, gas fuel tanks, especially if there are any abandoned fuel tanks, landslides, earthquakes, etc. So those are items that we'll be sure that our hazard mitigation team is assessing. Environmental justice becomes an issue if there is a neighborhood at Park Hill or anywhere else that is a substantially lower income or substantially made up of people of color and is also subject to any sort of specific environmental degradation within its confines. So if there is a correlation between income or race and what's happening at Park Hill with environmental issues, that would then also fall under the purview of the environmental justice element.
Okay, there's so few of us up here. I don't know that we could do it by race, but I was thinking that it would be a environmental injustice because the feds and then the state dumped it on the city in the mess that it's in. And that, to me, is an injustice.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for participating. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again and go on. Once we get in the small groups, you will have an opportunity to ask additional questions if you have them. But I just wanted to, I want to go back here to the slideshow and talk a little bit about the vision statement that we're going to be working on tonight, and then we'll get you into our small groups. So what is a vision statement? A vision statement is a very short statement that's going to describe the future of Hollister as you would like to see it in the year 2040, 20 years from now. It's intended to express shared community values that are really shared by all members of the community and that relate to the topics in the general plan, things like land use, growth, jobs, housing, and so forth. And it becomes the statement that guides the preparation of the general plan's goals and policies. So I want to show you an example of a vision statement from another general plan. This is from the city of Calistoga, which we worked on a number of years ago. And this is the entire statement. It's very short, as you can see. General plan might be several hundred pages long, but this fits easily on a single page. And you can, I'm just going to read through it and show you the things that it talks about. So it says here, in this case, Calistoga, as you may know, is a small town with a big tourist industry in northern Napa County. And this vision statement says that Calistoga will remain, so it's about preservation, a walkable small town made up of vibrant, eclectic Main Street with pedestrian-oriented neighborhoods of modestly sized homes and surrounded by wineries, vineyards, agricultural lands, with the temperate climate, the Palisades, which are nearby mountains, the Napa River and its creeks framing the physical identity. So you get a sense right away of these important characteristics that make the city of Calistoga what it is: its downtown, its Main Street, its neighborhoods, and the many agricultural and open space features around the city. Then it goes on to say in the second paragraph that visitors are attracted to Calistoga, so they're talking about their tourist-based economy. Visitors will be attracted to Calistoga because of its unique small-town character, shops, restaurants, the health spas which are there, surrounding natural beauties. But Calistogans also know that the town provides a sense of belonging for its residents. So it's not only about visitors, it's also about residents. The town contains a broad array of 19th and 20th century buildings, forming a multifaceted streetscape and supporting an economically diverse community. So this notion of economic diversity is very important, as well as the streetscape and the urban form. And then the statement concludes by saying that Calistoga is wanting to retain these qualities for future generations, provide a vibrant economy linked to a viable community social structure, conserving the ecosystem, and remaining a community in which its residents can take pride. So a lot of very succinct ideas in that very short statement that really give a sense of what Calistoga was hoping to achieve in its entire general plan. Obviously, Hollister's statement will be a different one. It will cover different issues, but I hope this gives you a sense of how the statement can be short, but hit on a lot of concepts that underlie the rest of the general plan. Here's another sample from the city of San Mateo, which Carrie is working on right now. The San Mateo vision statement is quite short, just one sentence that you see here that says San Mateo is a vibrant, livable, diverse, and healthy community that respects the quality of its neighborhoods, fosters a flourishing economy, is committed to equity, and is a leader in environmental sustainability. And then the statement goes on to include 5 values that you see here as well. And we'll be talking about your values for Hollister tonight: the values of diversity, balance, inclusivity, prosperity, and resiliency. So you might, as you talk about Hollister, you can talk both about the values that should underlie the vision statement and your vision for the city itself. So this is a little chart that shows how the vision statement applies to the rest of the general plan. And so the vision statement, for example, might have a vision as part of it, as one of the sentences, for instance, that residents can both live and work in Hollister. Well, what would that mean? One of the goals you might set, if that's your vision, is to increase local jobs. And then we could ask ourselves, well, what can we do actually to meet that goal of increasing local jobs? And we can have both policies and actions to do that. A policy example might be to create new land use designations for commercial uses near the airport. An action might be that the city would develop a program to attract new businesses to the industrial park or to other parts of the city. So you see in this chart and in this example how the general plan will flow from the vision statement to individual goals, to individual policies and actions. So far, we've heard a lot of different things that might go in the vision. We've had 3 of these workshops already, and we're excited to hear from you tonight. Some of the things we've heard already are a vision for managed growth, for enhanced circulation, for economic development, particularly job creation, for high quality community design, for a vision of the downtown as the core of the community, and a vision for agricultural preservation around the edges of the city. We want to hear from you tonight about other items. How important are these items and other items that you might add as well? So tonight we're going to break you into a total of 4 breakout rooms. You'll be assigned automatically in a few minutes. In your small groups, you're going to have 3 questions to answer about the values that you want to have drive future decisions, the key issues for the general plan, and for each of those issues, your vision for the future. You'll have a note taker to record your comments, as well as a facilitator to help move you along, and you'll select a spokesperson at the end of the meeting who will help you, who will report back, and I'll ask each spokesperson to do about 2-minute report so that we can hear from each of the 4 groups. We are able to do these in Spanish, but tonight I don't think we have that demand, so we'll be doing all the groups in English. And unless there are pressing questions, we're going to go ahead and divide you into your groups and get you started. Lindsay, are you ready for that?
Yes, hello. Alrighty, I'm going to send you guys into your breakout rooms now, and you'll see a little notification pop up on the screen that invites you to join a breakout room, at which time just click on through and join.
And I'll be
And
floating
Diane,
around to observe some of the groups. You'll see me in and out, and you'll see 2 staff people there as your facilitators and note takers. Have fun.
Hey, Lindsay, I didn't get a pop-up.
you didn't get one? Okay.
No.
I'm going to just move you somewhere, and then I'm going to move you back right now. Okay, do you get that now?
No.
Uh-oh. Okay. Did you get that?
Let's see here. I don't know what's going on.
Luckily, David's in your room, so this is not the worst thing to happen.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, why I'm not getting the messages.
David, if you leave the meeting and rejoin, I can let you in and try to send you there again. David, in the meantime, Carrie's having trouble joining a breakout room. Do you mind if I push you back to room 1 for now?
I guess that's fine. Yeah, I was just in one, and so I said I was leaving to try and find Carrie. So actually, Carrie, let's give it a minute. I prefer not to do it. Eva's there, and she's having them introduce themselves.
Okay, well, where's Abraham? Can you send him? Is he doing anything in the meantime?
I can send him to room 1.
And then maybe David, you could go tell them, and then I'll try and come join that room.
Okay, you're going to log off and then try and log back in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm seeing all these messages popping here. Are there
I'm seeing these now too. I didn't get these before.
Okay, we are doing 4 groups, right? And Ricky and Maria are in group 4, is that right?
No, there are no people going to be in that group.
There are no people in group 4?
Yeah, I had them already set there because I arranged at the beginning. So Ricky can leave. I can put Maria in a different group.
Okay, so there's a group 5. Is that true?
I think there's only 3 groups as well.
Oh, there's only 3 groups. Oh, okay. I said there were 4, but I was wrong. That's fine. So there's only 3 groups.
And you should send Abraham. What other staff is in group 1?
Only Eva's in 1.
Okay, so like Abraham or somebody should be sent over there.
I put Abraham in group 1.
Okay, so he's been moved. Okay, I'll go there and I'll let them know that Abraham can start. Either Abraham or Eva should become the facilitator.
Yeah, and Ricky, I think you can log off now since there's only 3 groups.
Okay. Yeah, I was just put on in the 4th group with Maria briefly, and I think we just both got pulled out. So.
Yeah, sorry, Ricky.
Mid-conversation, Lindsay.
I'm just like, David, when
Bye.
do we go? Let me.
I'll let her know though.
Yeah,
Or
Carrie,
just send her a
sorry.
message that we didn't need anyone for the fourth group.
Yeah, I put her in group 2. We are having
Okay.
issues. Carrie isn't getting a message to go into group 1, so I'm putting out some fires right now, but she should hopefully get back in soon.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Have
Always
fun.
fun. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, I'm going to put you in a group.
Aha.
Minute or so while everybody comes back from their 3 groups. I had a chance to wander around to all of the groups, and they were all robust and interesting discussions. I think everybody honestly had a little bit of a hard time getting done, and I always want to be respectful of everybody's time, and we said we'd be done at 7:30, so we were going to end very close to 7:30, but I'm sure some of you, at least many of you, it seems like, could have stayed and talked another half hour about these issues, if not more, and that's great to see so much engagement and interest. I think we have all the groups back now, and someone is going to share a screen so that we can look at the notes. Look at that, here we go. So will we start with group 1 then? Group 1, question 1. And I knew a minute ago who the spokesperson was for group 1, but I've already forgotten. Who's that going to be, Carrie?
It's John.
John. All right, John, you're our guinea pig or model. Let's call it model. We'd like a 2-minute presentation. I'll have my timer on, and you do have the yellow highlighting to help you to go through a 2-minute presentation on what your group did.
Okay. First, I'd just like to quickly say that it's surprising to me when a group of Hollister residents get together. We talk about how separate we are, how we come together pretty well. You know, that the issues that are my issues are issues that other people have too. So that just is a little bit of a head. We talked about truth as a value and making sure that what we're doing and what we're saying are in our values, right? To make sure that we're not misleading people or saying the wrong thing about what we're doing and where we're going and how we build things. We talked a lot about diversity and culture and economic diversity and making sure that we're inclusive, and we have a commitment to that equity, to that kind of broad sense of making sure that we're not leaving anybody behind, and that how do we move forward. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the housing section. We believe strongly that we need to have strong infrastructure and invest in our infrastructure to make sure that we don't build something and not be able to support it. There's more concern about that also in our housing section. We don't want to lose our small town community values and how important that is. That was pretty universal across when we were talking. We want to be sustainable. We want to make sure that what we're doing makes sense. So if we're building water systems and other systems, we make sure that we're able to keep those up, keep them up to date. We want to be forward thinking in the planning process and make sure that we're not, what things are going to be like in 10 years. How much different are we now 5 years from 5 years ago, and how different we are. We think, again, sustainability and conservation and stewardship of the resources around here and what we're doing, I think, is very important. We don't want to lose our unique character. We can go ahead and scroll down to the other part. And then in question 2, we talked about what should the general plan address. And one of those is recreational opportunities, more around to be able to do things, including maybe a library. We know that's more county, but a lot of our infrastructure city people use those. Diversity of transit options, both walkability and running paths and places to go. Again, we talked about infrastructure and homelessness and first-time homeowners and condos, kind of making more homes where people don't need or want a 3,000 square foot home, and do much more diverse. Transitional housing, again, for homelessness to move in and be homeowners. It isn't, a lot of people aren't, that just aren't just mentally ill people. There are people that are homeless for various reasons, and we don't want to leave people behind for the wrong reasons. And preserving our resources, the history. We believe strongly that the city council relationship with the county needs to be stronger. We think there's other broader organizations that we should look to for guidance and support from state and federal agencies. There's a lot out there, and we should take advantage of that.
Great. That was a wonderful report. It was 3.5 minutes, but it was excellent nonetheless. No worries. You did a great job, and I will see if anybody else can do it any quicker, but I think 3.5 minutes is fine as well. Let's hear from group number 2. I think we have, I've forgotten already who's for group 2. Is it Mia?
Raphael.
Raphael. Right, great. Okay, Raphael, please.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I've had the privilege to represent for my group. We spoke about values as well, of course, and we talked about a community feel. Small town values, that's what's aforementioned, also discussed in our group. Small town values does not equals a community feeling, independent of the number of people that live there. So when we talk about how we work so that means how we work together to affect supporting our businesses, to sort out finally our transportation, our housing, balance with housing, economic development, and transportation. We want open spaces, we want art, performing arts, our robust libraries that serve our community. All these different technical things that require us to not only the end product, the design, but how we work together to make those decisions and construct them and realize them. How we do that is the value will show our value of sense of community. And all of this is done with thinking of multi-generationally, different generations, grandparents, parents, and kids. Water, because what percentage of us is water? Water is life, life is water. And perhaps our children, how do our kids live? Maybe perhaps that's the greatest expression of our values, looking at our kids. So to wrap up, everything we work at, transportation, housing, economic development, all those things, how we come together to do those will show our value and create our sense of community. We don't, changes will happen. We don't resist changes, we nurture our sense of community.
Great. And that was a 2-minute presentation. So you go, Raphael. Nice work. And our last group is group number 3. And I hope I'm remembering correctly that this was the group where Mia might do a presentation. But I could be wrong.
I'm sitting here talking and I didn't unmute myself, sorry.
Great.
Okay, so we had some very similar things as far as values. The first was sustainability, the idea of, not just looking at our resources, but also making sure our community is taken care of with services. And then also that we don't deplete, what we need to keep our agricultural resources. And we talked about equity being kind of a huge thing that, in things like transportation that, and in parks and recs, and when new development comes in the city and county, make sure that the schools are brought in as well. We talked about prosperity and balance and the idea that, it's not just, residential development, but we really need to plan and have a balance with retail and job generation. And we want to increase tourism to the county, and that'll bring with it substantial income. So justice, equity, diversion, and inclusion, JEDI. Okay, next page. So we were talking about the infrastructure and traffic issues, making our city more connectable, be more walkable and bikeable, We really want to start moving towards being more pro-business and being able to retain our current businesses. And we started to have a discussion around, making our city more attractive and taking pride in it, and how that also makes it welcoming to businesses. We talked about the idea of our downtown not being quite as welcoming or friendly as we would like it to be, and that we would like to see some work in that area as far as maintenance and just, working with the owners down there to, get rid of cracked buildings, or cracked windows and things. We want to move away from the idea of being a bedroom community, in the future, and start working on our economic side so that we can have jobs here and people are living and working here, because that will also impact our roads and other infrastructure. Then also, again, we talked a lot about taking pride in our community and curb appeal. And we talked about that. One of the things that a lot of us feel is that Hollister is this really friendly place that you everywhere you go, you meet people and you build friendships here. And so we want to, that's kind of a moniker. We're trying to develop a moniker for it, but the idea of, Hollister's like friendliest town in California or something. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I covered most of it.
Great. That was another excellent presentation, well under 3 minutes, just over 2. And and it's exactly 7:30, and we've heard from all 3 groups. I wanted to just do a brief summary of what I heard. I mean, I think you'll all agree that all 3 groups were pretty similar to each other, talked about a lot of similar values and similar issues that need to go into our vision statement. I was really struck by the first group having as its first item truth and clarity as a value. And we also heard, I think, all 3 groups talking about the small town feeling, the sense of community, friendliness. All 3 groups talked about diversity and equity, and talked about sustainability as well as a very important issue. There was talk about innovation and forward thinking, talk about stewardship, prosperity, and balance are all important watchwords, it seems to me, among the values that we heard. And then on the more issue side, again, we heard about maintaining the small town feel. We talked about creating additional housing opportunities, particularly condos and first-time opportunities for first-time ownership. But the flip side of that on the housing side is also businesses, jobs, economic development, business retention, support for new businesses, all being very important as well. This was, I think, the first of our 4 groups where there was significant talk about infrastructure planning, which I thought was very refreshing to get that perspective. A number of you talking about water supply and other types of infrastructure to serve the city. And then, of course, talking about other transportation as well. The traffic, but more importantly, walking and biking being very important issues in the city. We heard, I think all the groups talked to some degree about activities and recreation, about a library, activities for kids, a performing arts center, the Loudon Nelson Center in Santa Cruz being given as an example. That seemed like it was very important to all the groups. Talk about making the city a more attractive place physically as a way to attract businesses, but also to instill community pride, particularly in the downtown, but in all parts of the community. And part of that would be public art as well. And several of you talked about that. And then the last item that I heard several times was the city and county relationship, doing better coordination between the city and county as development occurs, but broadening that. And I think, again, this was the first of the 4 meetings where we heard these themes. We heard at others about the city-county relationship, but here tonight we also heard about coordination with the state government, the federal government, particularly in the form of the national park, and with the school district and the water district. So those are important coordination items also. So we got a lot of good ideas here tonight, a lot of interesting things that we'll be able to incorporate into the vision statement. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again just to show you just a few last notes about our upcoming meeting. This is the 4th and final one of our, the 4th and final meeting that we're having in this process. After tonight, we will be going forward to writing the vision statement and then having it available at our August meeting of the General Plan Advisory Committee. We don't have a date set for that GPAC meeting yet. We anticipate it will be in late August. And if we have your email address, you will receive an email about that meeting, and we would welcome you to attend, whether it's virtually or perhaps unlikely, but maybe a meeting could be held in person. We'll probably be holding it virtually, and we would love for you to be there at our August meeting to look at the vision statement that is drafted by the consultant team and the city staff team, and as the GPAC reviews that. So that concludes our meeting for this evening. Let me ask if there are any final questions or comments, and otherwise we'll thank you all and end the meeting. Are there any last words from anyone? Well, hearing none then, I want to thank you all again very much for your time, and we'll hope to see you in August for the GPAC and for other parts of this process as it continues over the next year and a half. Good night. Take care.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.